are you?
I'm so good. Thank you for interviewing me today. How
Oh my
sweet.
God, I'm so happy you're here.
You are?
Yes, I'm so happy. Can you
I'm happy
tell?
too. I'm so happy.
You guys are so sweet. Wait, where are you?
I'm in my office and she's in her office.
We're both
Where?
outside
Oh.
of Philly,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're in Bucks County.
Got it. Okay, good.
and I'm
Hi.
Jess.
I know.
Okay, well, I'm
I
just
did
telling you.
No, I
Telling you hi.
appreciate that. I just went to a little, last night I was like, wait, what am I doing?
Who
at
am I
9
talking
a.m.?
to?
I'm like, no, yeah, no. So Jess, so nice to meet you. Thank
So
you.
nice
So,
meet
Nikki,
you.
where are you right now?
I'm actually down in the desert near Palm Springs.
Oh, so you're back on the West Coast.
Yes, but
I
not
can't
for
keep
long.
track.
I
You're
know.
bouncing
Honestly,
back and forth.
I know it's been a little wild. I'm not gonna lie, but it's great. I'm just a little exhausted, but listen, this is
No
like once in a
complaints.
lifetime. Not complaining about being exhausted, but so please forgive me if like I have a menopause moment because those are happening where I'm like, what's the word? It sounds like
We got
this,
you.
and, yeah, okay, yeah.
We got you.
We're
All right.
also right there with you. I tried to not wear my glasses, and I was like, I can't see anything I'm doing. So the glasses are going on.
I know.
Yeah.
I
All
did
right.
my eye makeup and I was like, just to put my glasses on because I
I
can't
know.
see jack
Well, you
shit.
both look beautiful. All right, are we ready to get started, you two?
Yes, let's do it. Let's do it.
Let's do
All right,
it.
Jess, you kick us off.
Okay. Today's guest, 3-time Emmy winner, singer, songwriter, actress, writer, podcast host, executive producer of the new and amazing FX show Dying for Sex, which is based on the Wondery podcast she co-created of the same name.
Nikki Boyer, welcome to She What?
She what? Oh my gosh, I'm so happy to be with the two of you. It's gonna be fun. Buckle up. Who knows what's gonna come out of this mouth?
That's what
Buckle
I
up.
said.
That is actually exactly what she said.
Did she really?
Like something along those lines, yeah.
Oh
Well.
shoot! Do I have a reputation?
Well, a very good one that precedes you. Nikki, you have been
Oh.
all over the place with your latest project, your FX show, Dying for Sex. But I have known you for a couple of years before this and following you. And I'm just so excited and so happy that this latest project, which is such a personal one, has really catapulted you into a whole new world. I
No,
mean,
thank you.
really, tell us a little bit about your career before this because you're a hustler. I mean, you have been doing a million things.
Oh my God, I love you for saying that. I know everyone's like, what have you been doing before this? And I was like,
Everything.
beating my head against a wall trying to find a job every year, being a
Well,
freelance artist. So
I told
fun.
Jess one of my favorite lines of the show was when, well, first of all, in the new show, Dying for Sex, you are played by none other than Jenny Slate,
Yes.
who is hilarious.
How much do
But
we
she
love that
says one
human?
of the lines that I just died laughing at was when she said, I'm still living off of residuals from playing. Do you want to tell
based
us?
on truth.
I
Well,
know.
It's not. Well, it's based on truth, but I think I was playing. Wait, some president's dead.
Lincoln's
I
whore?
think, yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, something like that. Yeah.
As one does.
Yeah.
But for our
I-
audience, you were playing a role and then you were getting residuals off of it. So
Yes, exactly.
your character is getting residual payments. So
Which is
you've
not
had
far
many
off-
careers.
Yes, it's not far off my real life because. But let's be honest, residual payments are like 14 cents.
Right, $1.
$3. Yeah, I got one the other day. It was like 3 cents. I was like, just save the postage. Don't send this to me. I don't want it.
I know. Listen,
but
I'm a
did- one of
writer,
my-
so I
yeah,
get it.
well, yeah, you know. One of my first jobs was to be a dead body in like one of those crime
it.
recreation. I don't know. It was like a true crime recreation show, like way back in the day, like in the early. It was like the late 90s, early 2000s. That was my first job. And I did get some good residuals off of that because it aired like 7,000 times. But I was not only the
Amazing.
dead body, then I was the outline, the police outline. I also was that.
You get paid for that?
Is that one of your Emmys?
Yeah. How did you know?
I had a feeling.
Oh my God.
Damn,
Nailed it.
that dead body was good.
They're like, she was really, really lifeless. Like, that's me. That's me right here. I was a hustler very early on, but I didn't even know it was hustling. So my first job, I was a dancer and a singer when I was like 14 years old. I'm like, who wasn't? Everybody thought they were a dancer and a singer in their basement. They're like, I'm dancing.
And roller skater.
Yeah, wait, how did you know I roller? How did you know
I
I
mean,
did roller
who
skating in the
didn't?
base? Wait, really? That's normal? I thought
We
I
were,
was
I
we
like,
did.
grew up in the 80s.
okay.
That's
Oh
a
my
thing.
God. In a basement, because in LA we don't have basements, but in the Midwest I have basement, and it was amazing. We really okay. Anyway, I love you too. This is so fun. So what I did is I went to this audition when I was like 14 or 15 with my sweet cousin, and she was like, "Just come with me. It's for this dancing, singing group." And I was like, "Well, okay." And I auditioned, and little did I know I was getting into a job that would kind of launch my career. So we were a part of a group called Team 11, and we were like
Ooh.
basically the teenage like faces and voices of the cartoon time. So back in St. Louis, we had the WB affiliate that aired cartoons after school. Well, I then was part of the group that represented that time. And then I was also one of the on air hosts. So I would be like, hey, you just were watching DuckTales. Coming up next, we're going to have, the Mickey Mouse class. So
So
that
good.
was my
my
job. And I was
God.
like 14, 15, 16, all the way up through college, was working in children's television. So I got boot camp. I learned how to follow a tally light, how to read prompter, how to use an IFB. And I was like, I think there like now there would be like child labor laws against that.
I don't know.
But I
Not
got
in
a
Hollywood
great,
still.
yeah, exactly. I got a great like launch of my career at this beautiful station in St. Louis. So that's how it started. And I mean, it just kind of went from there. You can imagine how odd the jobs have been that I have had.
I can.
We
I
can.
absolutely
We both can.
Yeah.
I worked at a bus magazine, so everyone just relax.
Oh, wait, what do you say about buses in said magazine?
Well, how much time do you have? I could talk about buses all darn day. But
Wait, hold on. What's the most interesting fact that you know about buses?
Oh God. I mean, the magazine was actually, I can't believe we're talking about this, but the magazine was actually for the American Bus Association, which mainly
Whoa.
focuses on tour buses. So a lot of it was about like how to market yourself and get tours to come and things like that. But
This
we
is
went
a she
to,
what for me,
I know,
Nikki. I didn't even know Jess did this.
this
What?
is I'll do a side hustle on my bus days. Yeah, there's not as much interesting about buses as you might think.
Okay. Well,
We digress.
thank you for telling me because I would have been really bummed out if there would have been this fun fact that I missed out on my whole life, and now I know there's not.
Well, now I know.
We
And
covered it.
yeah.
But I wanted to ask you, how and when did you and Molly meet? And sort of what was the trajectory of your friendship like prior to the recurrence of her cancer? Because that's where we start in the show.
Yeah, and it actually wasn't that much long after my moving to LA. So I came here when I was 21, I believe, and about a year after, I think I decided to like get into a real acting class, right? On Melrose. And I was like, I'm going to go to this class and I'm going to become a great actress. And I walked in and Molly was there. And I remember probably about maybe 15 people in the class. And I just remember thinking, oh gosh, that girl is really pretty and so different looking, right? Like, ooh. And I was bouncing around like the idiot that I am and being like, hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. And she apparently didn't like me because she thought I was slightly annoying and was. She also said she didn't like me because there were these hot twins in the class and I knew them. And so she was like jealous and mad that I knew the hot twins. And so she had this idea of me, but I remember not recognizing her, but noticing her, right? And being like, she's pretty and different looking, long brown hair at the time and crystal blue eyes and just really like didn't have a lot of make. She just was like, her skin was glowing. Like she looked like an alien model is what I always tell her. Like you looked really cool. Actually we didn't become friends. Our acting teacher paired us up for a scene and that's how we became friends. So now I keep saying like that acting teacher kind of changed my life because if she wouldn't have paired us up in a scene together, I don't know if Molly and I would have naturally just become friends. But when you work on a scene together, you work outside of class, you hang out, you get to know each other. And that's how the friendship started. And immediately I was like, this girl's weird. She's completely irreverent. She's one of the smartest people that I know. She's from New York, so she had a little bit of an edge to her. And I'm like, I want to be this girl's friend. So we were like, oh, we're in this. We're going to be friends now. So I was like, and she didn't hate me. So that's good.
Well, when you're from the Midwest or even the West Coast and you meet someone with an edge from New York, they are a little bit of an alien. So that I
Yeah.
totally get why you were drawn to her.
Yes. That's funny.
Before we go any further, I just want to say I'm just so sorry that you lost her.
Oh,
And I just want to say thank you for sharing the story. Like, it's just such an amazing, raw story. And when we were getting ready to interview you, I went back and listened to the podcast,
you
which is
did?
how it all
Oh,
started, right? You guys did a
yeah.
podcast together.
Yeah.
And getting to listen to the podcast again, I listened to it when it first came out, and it's so, so good. I mean, just that you have her voice forever,
I
that
know.
for
I
whatever
know.
made you guys do that, it's just like amazing that you have her forever.
Thank you.
What
I feel
made you
like I
decide to
do.
do that podcast?
Well, I love you for asking that. And thank you for your sweet comments because sometimes I forget, like, I don't know, like I forget she's gone. I know that sounds weird, but like I feel her with me all the time and I miss her so much. She's kind of, I don't know, like transformed into this like spirit version of herself in my life, which I know sounds super airy fairy, but like I feel her all the time with me. So I've lost her definitely. Oh my God, I fucking miss her so much. Oh wait, can we curse on this show?
Sure.
Meh,
Sorry.
it's not live.
Probably not. Okay.
We can beep you.
I freaking miss her. And I wish that she was here.
Yeah.
But the way her life is living on and the way the ripple effect is happening, like I kind of feel like it was just her life and her death happened exactly the way it was supposed to. And so thank you for saying that. But like so acting class, becoming really good friends, we both married, you know, people. And then we were like, oh, should we have done
People.
that? Should
Humans.
we, should we have done that? Well, oh man. So we went through a lot of life together in those, you know, 15, 16, 17 years. And then I remember when she called me and told me she was diagnosed for the first time, I was just kind of shocked and a little bit emotionally I was working on the road at that time and I wasn't as emotionally available to be there for her. But she was going through her chemo and her radiation and lost all of her hair and her husband was really caring for her and she wanted to go through it sort of privately. She didn't tell a lot of people she had cancer. And I respected that. And so you flash forward to, you know, when her terminal diagnosis came 3 4 years later, I was shocked because I thought you were better. I thought like uh, you're fine. We're gonna live and be old together. So when she told me that, I just remember thinking, oh shit, like oh shoot, we have to really like just make the most of our time together and be together as much as we can. I wasn't thinking about death. I was just thinking, oh my gosh, this is awful. I just want to soak her up. And then when she decided to leave her marriage and go on this sexual adventure, I immediately was like, wait, what? This is fabulous. Like, yes, I want you to be safe. I want you to be careful. But like, yes, move out of your house, move closer to me. We can be near each other. And then immediately I said, I think this is a show. I think your life is a TV show, and I think it's called Dying for Sex. And she was like, what? So we pitched it as TV show. We made a one-sheeter. I went to New York and took some meetings. We even paired up with a production company. Like we were like, there's
Right away.
something here right away. And then, of course, everything kind of fell apart, and you know nobody has any money to give to you. And we were like, "Oh, what do we make this into?" And then a friend of mine owns a production company, and he was like, "I think you should just get in the studio and just record." So we just started recording, and thank God we did because about 4 or 5 months after we got into the recording studio, she got really, really sick, and so it was divine intervention, and the timing was perfect. So so grateful that I have her voice, Maureen. Like I feel like when I'm kind of feeling crappy and unsettled and like a little rocked by life, I listen to the final episode of Dying for Sex and it's like my therapy session. It brings me right back to my center. Yeah.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
that. Well,
Actually, that scene where she tells you is one of my favorite scenes.
In front of the bodega in the
where
TV show?
where she's
Yeah.
drinking the off-brand soda.
Oh yeah, you're right.
And the way Jenny Slate plays that scene is I
Oh,
love that
so
scene.
good,
So
right?
hilarious. But sorry, I stomped on you, Maureen. What were you gonna
No,
ask?
that's
I love that you
okay.
brought
I
up
love
that
it.
scene. I
Um,
love it too.
Well, I was just going to say that Dying for Sex is one of the few shows that tackles the two things we typically don't talk about, right? Death and
Right.
sex. And it encourages us to talk about them and laugh about them and in unique ways that they don't typically intersect. And how psyched do you think that Molly would be that
Oh,
her experiences enabled us to do that and
yeah.
for that to happen?
She would be okay. Molly was such an interesting cat, right? She had super high expectations and high standards. Like, right. Like she just was like, she didn't accept any crap. Like it had to be right. It had to feel right in her body for her to allow. Um, so my reason of saying that is part of her would be like, I cannot believe this is happening. Like, are you kidding me? This is blowing my mind. And then the other part of her would be like, yeah, sounds about right. This is good. This is exactly what I wanted. Like, so I think she would be blown away by the response and blown away how this show has cracked people open and that she is so living on in other people. She'd be blown away by it. But I think she also had a real intention when she was dying that she was going to leave something that would hopefully change the way that people look at metastatic breast cancer, the way they look at sex, and the way they look at how they want to live their lives from this point forward. Like, because there's a moment when you watch the show where you're like, oh, yeah, I'm going to think about sex and death differently from this point forward. And I can't believe that our showrunners, who were amazing, Kim Rosenstock and Liz Merriweather, I mean, come on, they were so aware of the power that this show could possibly have if we did it right. And I feel like I think they did it right. I think.
Yeah. Oh, they did it right. There were I saw in the behind the scenes, you said there were times when you and Molly were laughing harder about the cancer mishaps than the sexual mishaps, which kind of blew me away. And I wondered if the two of you were always able to laugh about hard things, or is that something developed over the course of this cancer journey?
That's, oh my gosh, I just, my instinct was to say, oh, we've always laughed at stuff like this. But I have to say, early on, I don't think we were as emotionally, we were in our early 20s, mid 20s, and we weren't as emotionally as developed. And I think we kind of, both of us just kind of went along with like, this is what life tells us to do. You meet a man, you fall in love, you get married. Like we both kind of just, even though we're really strong women, we just kind of went along with what I think was expected of us and what you were supposed to do. And I think after we both had relationships that weren't matching up to what we had thought they were supposed to be, I think we got really real with each other because we had to. We were like, what's going on? And I think that moment of outing yourself and saying, my life doesn't feel right. My life doesn't feel good. Like she never had judgment towards me when I was messing things up or screwing things up, and same vice versa. But I don't think it was until the cancer hit the first time that she and I were like, oh, we're going to lean into this really. We're going to be really honest. And we're just going to have the kind of, I don't think it was a conscious thing. I think it just naturally happened. Like, we're going to talk about all the stuff that people don't want to talk about because that's just more fun. That's more to me. That's just more exciting, right? So I took her lead. She set the tone, right? She was the one that was sick. And so I followed her lead. And then before we knew it, we were talking about, I mean, oh my gosh, the things that we would talk about sexually and also in terms of medically. Like I was there for so many procedures and I've seen every part of her body. I've seen her in sexual ways, in selfies and in beautiful, and I've seen her like getting a lung tap and having like fluid drained out of her leg in the most unsexy circumstances. I've seen her in every way, shape, or form. And so I have to say, like, what a beautiful, vulnerable way to be with your best friend. And she kind of set the tone for me to be that way with her. And then we're twisted and sick and find humor and really dark, weird stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, when you're seeing your friend's internal organs, I think that brings a different level of intimacy.
Totally right.
Yeah, 100%. I mean,
oh my God, you're so right.
but like death and illness changes perspective, right? Like we were talking a little bit about it before, Jess and I, about how all of a sudden you were talking about these sexual experiences and maybe they weren't what you were talking about previously. And, we were talking about how and what we were going to talk about with you and what was going to be the parts of the interview that we were most interested in. And all of a sudden, like talking about death and sex. And did your mom talk to you about sex? And Jess was saying that her mom did talk to her about sex. And I was saying, my mom didn't talk to me about sex until like a week before I was getting married. And I went to Catholic school and didn't know things until after I was married, and not even lying about that. Like, and I exaggerate, but I'm not even exaggerating that. And how, when you're faced with death though, just your perspective changes. Like the way that Molly was so open-minded and just matter of fact about certain things, just and how she approached those experiences and just was she that way always? Was she just open-minded and
No. I mean,
non-judgmental
well,
about
open-minded and non-judgmental, yes, right? But sexually, I don't think she had a lot of experience because of what happened to her when she was younger. She did have some sexual abuse and assault when she was very little. And I think that sort of shaped how she felt in her body and how she saw herself. And so she was very afraid, right? Afraid of that. And then got into a marriage that just felt very safe and comfortable. So I think when she got this cancer diagnosis and she decided to sort of start with online, like let's just start online, let's just start flirting and having like moments, virtual moments together. I think it ignited a part of her that had been dormant for a very, very long time. And so I, on the other hand, was very different. I was having sex way before I should have. My mom did not really talk to me about it. It was like Catholic school, like, here's a pamphlet. And you're like,
right?
what? Okay. So I was like, well, I guess I'll just do it and see what happens. So I do not recommend that, by the way. That's not a good way to go when you're like young and naive. But I think when Molly and I started talking about sex, she was fascinated in my experiences previous, right, to getting married. And she was like, tell me all the crazy stuff you did. And I told her, and she was like, yes, that's so great. Like I want, and how great to have that at such a later point in your life when you're actually aware of like your boundaries and your desires and your that no shame around it. And so she hadn't always been like that. I think the cancer really gave her permission to kind of give less f's, as she says. Like I think it made her the stakes higher and lower at the same time. The stakes felt like, I got to do this, I need to feel alive. And also the stakes were low. Is like, what's the worst thing that could happen? Like you have a bad
Right.
experience and you move
Yeah.
on. Like I think it kind of cleared things up for her in terms of outcome, if that makes sense.
I love that perspective. And she just, when I say that she was just so matter of fact, the way she spoke about things, like, well, I had never done that before, so I just figured I'd try it. If I didn't like it, I'd just move on. It
Yeah.
was like when people talk about now, like, I'll just take a painting class, and if it doesn't work for me, maybe I'll try knitting.
Yeah.
Like that's how that's
Yeah,
how
that's
she
how it
was,
was.
just so matter of fact about
Yeah.
trying these new experiences to enrich her life. And I just loved her perspective. And I was just curious if she was always like that or if with facing death, that's how she looked at life then.
She definitely said in her book, which is called Screw Cancer Becoming Whole, and it's available on Amazon. She wrote it while she was dying, and I published it for her. So I just encourage anyone who loves her and wants to read her book. But it's a darker look at her life. It's sort of a love letter and a goodbye letter to herself. And, there were some moments in these sexual escapades that weren't pretty, right? Ugly, that were messy, that didn't feel safe and good. And she figured her boundaries out along the way. So it wasn't all perfect and fun and like, let's have a good time. There were some
Right.
things that just didn't feel good to her, right? And so she navigated that, but I have to say she was always open. She was never judgmental. She never judged somebody's kinks or fetishes or their trauma. Never. And I always loved that about her because on the other hand, I was like, ew, that's gross. And so she was good at keeping me in check and keeping me non-judgmental, but the sex stuff definitely ignited when she started tamoxifen, I think, which was the drug that's supposed to like kind of decimate your immune system, make you
Yeah.
exhausted and tired, but it kind of did the opposite of her. It made her feel super vibrational and alive, and she just wanted to have sex or sexual experiences. And so, but then, I have to say, you guys, when I got her phone, like she left me her phone and her computer and everything when she passed away, and I was going through some of her messages because she told me I could, plus I was doing the podcast. A lot of these sexual encounters she was having were very loving and emotional and connected. So I don't think Molly was able to just be like a sex kitten and go out there. And she was like checking in with these men. So that scene in the show where Michelle Williams is masturbating in bed all day, and then she's on the screen with the guy, and she's like, "Well, tell me about your mom.
Yeah, yeah.
How is that making you
I love
feel?"
that.
Like that's Molly. That is so Molly because she was just as much as she was loving the sex. I think she really loved and desired connection. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, Jess.
You have had the experience that I think so many of us wonder about. Like, how many times have people thought who would play me in the movie version of my life.
Right?
And I've watched a bunch of things with Jenny Slate, but what was the casting process like, and what did Jenny Slate bring to the character version of you that really resonates? And then what parts like
Yeah.
really were like, wow, that's cool. Is that
Yeah,
me?
yeah, yeah. Is that me? Is that how I look and act?
Yeah.
And be, yeah, I know. I hear you. The casting process was really interesting, I have to say. I mean, Jeannie Backrack was our casting director. Who she's like an Emmy award-winning casting director. She did The Bear, and then Jessica Daniels was our New York casting director, and she's insanely talented and connected to the New York community. I mean, there's so many cool Broadway actors in Dying for Sex that have huge Broadway careers that are doing these little bit parts in Dying for Sex that are so cool. Um, so the casting was really interesting because obviously you need to cast Molly first, and that was a big one, right? We had COVID that kicked off right when the show was launched, the podcast. So that put a wrench into everything. And then we had the writer strikes, and then we had interest from a lot of celebrities, which was so fascinating to get emails like, "Hey, so and so is interested," and you're like,
What?
like, holy crap. You're like, wait a minute. And I'm getting like, agents are sending reels to me, like their demo reels of these like huge celebrities. I'm like, oh, they really are just like us. They have a demo reel that their agent sends out. It's like, hey, do you want to hire my client for this job? It's fascinating.
So cool.
So when we heard that Michelle was interested, because she did fall in love with the podcast and kind of fell in love with Molly, I think from talking to her, I picked up on just a deep desire to play the role, but also there were lots of things standing in the way of like that were life related. And by the time we figured that out, it was pretty late in the game. It was like, a few years into the development of the show. So we needed to cast it, and we needed to find the Nikki. Like, just to your point, you would think I'd have like a list of 5 where I'm like, oh, this person for me.
Yeah.
I kind of like numbed out and blanked out because I was like, I don't know who would play me. That's just so weird. Like, I have no clue. And it had to be the right Nikki for Michelle's Molly. It just didn't need to be Nikki. It needed to be the right
They
Nikki
had to
for
match.
Michelle.
Yeah.
Exactly. And when they did their chemistry read together, I believe they were wearing the same outfit, which is very
I heard an
right?
interview
Isn't
with
that
Michelle
cute?
that she
Isn't
said that
cute?
they showed up in the same outfit for the
Which
read.
is so sweet. Which is also on the day I showed up to set and met Jenny really for the first time. I knocked on her trailer door, which said Nikki, which was so weird. And she opens the door, and she's in her Nikki wardrobe, and I'm just in my clothing, and we had like almost the same shirt on.
outfit
It was
on?
very weird, very weird.
Oh, it's meant to be.
Yeah, it felt very meant to be. So anyway, the casting was very interesting. I didn't know who was going to play me. For one split second, I watched a movie with what's her name? Gina Rodriguez. Do you remember? You know that actress, Gina Rodriguez? She's amazing. And for a minute, I was like, ooh, Gina Rodriguez would be, because she's kind of spicy and has all kinds of, fun and always having sex and doing fun things on screen and taking roles that are really edgy and like, ooh, yeah. But I don't know if that would have actually matched with Michelle. And so, like, I was just sort of blank slate. I didn't know. And I was in Hawaii with my husband, and they called me and they said, we got Jenny Slate. And I was just like, my body vibrated, and I was like, yes. Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. I was like, yes. And I had only known a little bit of her work through her stand-up specials and through her roles on I had seen Obvious Child, and I had seen her on, oh my God, what's that show? Parks and Rec. Was it Parks and Rec where she played
I became obsessed with her on Marcel the Shell. That's where I
Oh,
fell in love
right,
with Jenny
yeah.
Slate, because that movie blew me
Isn't
away.
it
I loved
great?
it so much.
I know sometimes she does the voice when we're talking to each other, and I'm like,
So
oh, I
cute.
love you.
Yeah, it's so
Um,
cute.
So I just immediately was like, yes, that feels right. And then when I saw her on set acting, and we met and we went to dinner, and now we're very close friends. I love that woman. I can't even imagine anyone else playing the role. And there are parts of her that are so me. And then there are parts of her that are like me 20 years ago, like the way she played the role. Very scattered, a little chaotic, a bit of a hot mess. And I kind of loved that because it added some fun layers, and it gave her really an emotional arc during this, right? So I feel like the liberties that they took really kept the story engaging. But at the end of the day, I always felt like Molly and I were at the center. I felt like it very much felt like us. Different at different phases in our lives, right? Over a 20-year friendship. So yeah, that's how I felt about all that. It was always a pinch me moment. It didn't there was never a moment where I was like, oh yeah, this is normal. It was always like, what is happening right now?
And I love that you got to be on screen. When I saw your cameo, I was like, "Wow, there she is! Yay!" And with Sissy Spacek, that was
Oh
so
my God.
wild. Like,
So cool.
how did you feel, Nikki? Like, was that
It
always
was
the plan, or?
Well, I always wanted to have a role, but like as time goes on and you're casting, the roles start to get written out or go away. I mean, the scripts take so many different shapes. And by the end, I was like, is there a role for me? Like, and I mean, I had my eye on a couple of roles, to be honest, where I was like, and Molly was always like, well, you'll play yourself. And I was like, honey, I am not famous enough to play myself for this cast. Like, originally, that was the goal, is that I would play me.
Play yourself.
Like, right? You create your own projects to play yourself. And that was Molly's dream. But then when I realized how big this was getting, I was like, no, I need to trust in the process and trust in this beautiful team that's helping me with this. And it was just perfect. But yeah, when they offered me the role of cousin Sheila, and I was like, oh, I love an ensemble scene. And so I got to act with Jay Duplass, Sissy Spacek, Michelle Williams, and Conrad, God, I can't remember his last name. Broadway actor, so great. He played the dog in the scene.
Oh my God, he was so good.
Yeah.
And I just got a full day. I mean, like 8-9 hours of sitting and acting with the woman playing my best friend, Sissy Spacek, and Jay Duplass. And I have to say, I had a lot of fun. I was nervous, but I knew I could do it. I've been acting my whole life, but I was like, this is the one time when I belong on set. Like, I belong here. And I felt really good about that because for so long, I always felt like I didn't belong, or I wasn't good enough, or am I going to do an okay job, or am I going to, but I just was so excited to be there and had so much fun. And I have to tell you, there was a moment where I was doing, my role was very minimal, but it was very fun. Like, it was very engaging. And at one point, Sissy Spacek leaned over and she goes, Nikki, I got to tell you, she's like, you are really good at acting. And I was like,
You're like,
what?
yeah.
You're like, I can die now. That's check off the
100
list.
I know. And I said, really? Like, I was like, really? She's like, yeah, you're just really natural. And I'm really enjoying working with you. And I was like, I'm like vibrating right now just saying that. And I was like, here I am in this story on this set. And Molly said to me before she passed away, and it was such a vulnerable moment. She said, I really hope that somehow the story, this is when she knew the podcast was going to happen, and that it was picked up by Wondery, and that we were going to do our best to make a
So
beautiful
good.
story. She knew that. And she said, sorry, I'm totally burping right now. You hear that? I'm like,
No, but Christine probably
I
does.
thought you were getting emotional.
no, I was
like,
burping.
okay.
I was burping. Oh, you never know with me. I'm either going to cry or burp. There's no middle ground. I was like,
You're gurgling.
Oh my
You're
God, that's
vibrating and you're
gross.
gurgling.
That's probably her coming through and being like,
Yeah. Hi,
she's
Molly.
always here. But she did say to me, and now I probably will get emotional. Thanks a lot, Jazz. I
Okay.
said, she said to me, I don't know what's going to happen with this, but I have a feeling. Like, I just have a feeling. And I really hope that, now I am going to cry. I really hope that somehow my death and this story can make your life better. Because I've watched you work so hard in this thankless business, and I hope that this can shift things for you. And that's really my dream. And I was like, oh my God, I was selfless and loving. And she knew on some level, in a deep space inside of her, I think she knew that this was going to turn into something, and that she trusted me to work really hard to make it happen. And so she did. She changed my life. Here I am sitting on set next to Sissy Spacek and Michelle Williams, and I'm acting and getting to do what I love and finally make a living and not have to, like, file for unemployment or figure out my insurance, or my husband and I are like doing our budget because we're both freelance artists, and we're, it's been such a long road, and it was such a beautiful moment to be like, wow, she just gave me this gift in my life. And I don't know, she's just so cool. It's She's just so awesome.
so
And no, I'm not
incredibly
burping. I'm really
gracious.
crying. I'm really crying.
That is just, it's so incredibly gracious. It's hard to
Yeah.
picture being able to, but it's clear listening to you on the podcast, watching the show, that's how much you loved each other, right? That's
Yeah.
was, I'm sure, from the most real place in her heart that she
Yeah.
hoped that that would happen for you.
And look, and like she's shining. Like I feel like the world is getting to know her, and um the world is getting to read her writing and see her power and her strength, and they're inspired by her, and that was her dream, was to be, a storyteller and to change people's lives with her words, and it is literally happening. I'm so proud of her. Sorry.
No, we're proud of her too.
Ah,
I'm so
Proud
happy
of
for
you.
you. Yeah.
thank you.
I mean, at the end of the day, you had to give up your best friend to have all of this, and it's not lost on us that there is great loss here for this beautiful moment in your life. And I think that, this great big success that you're having comes at a gigantic hole in your heart. And
Yeah.
we know that and we see that and we're rooting for you and we're
Thank
cheering
you.
for you and we're so happy for you. But, in all of this fun and happiness and these awards and this love that you're getting and hopefully more that is to come your way, um, we know that it's a huge, big loss, but we're happy that Molly gets to live on with you.
Thanks for saying that. What a
When you
beautiful way
look
to like
back
put that
on it
together.
and you
Yeah.
look back and you see that you had all of this, you know, when you think back to the Nikki Boyer who was just learning in front of that bodega about what your best friend was just about to go through and this experience ahead of you, what would you tell that Nikki Boyer? What advice would you give to her?
Oh gosh. I would tell her, hmm, knowing what I know now and how quickly when she got into the hospital after her diagnosis and how quickly things declined towards the end, I was juggling a lot in my life, right? I was a new stepmom. I was in a not new relationship, but like a new form of that relationship where you blend the families and you start living together. And I was trying to juggle work, and I was always very busy. I think I would have, I think I would have told myself like, spend more time with her. And we spent a lot of time together, but I would have liked to have more. So I would tell myself now, looking back, this is a finite amount. You're going to get a sliver of time left with her and just soak it up as much as you can. And I don't think I really understood that she was dying. I know that sounds insane, but like it wasn't really penetrating. And my husband would always say to me, go to the hospital, go to her house, be with her. And I wish I would have done that just a little bit more. And she'd be mad at me for saying that. And I wish I would have had her at my home a little bit more and kind of, I don't know. I just wish I would have done more, which is such a thing that we do, right? Looking back, like we come down on ourselves and say we didn't do enough, but like I just wanted more, just more of her. That's all.
If if you think that people come away from this show watching this feeling like they want to be able to talk about death more with the people they love,
Yeah.
what kind of advice would you give? Or like where, if for those of us in the world who maybe like just don't even know where to start or are too
Right.
scared to talk about that, what what do you hope the takeaway is from this?
I hope that people lean into the uncomfortable conversations about death, because once you do over that initial really like uncomfortable feeling, the amount of connection and intimacy that can happen when you're having those conversations is kind of mind blowing. For example, I talked to my mom and I said, I want to talk to you about dying. And she was like, we're good. You don't need to talk about that. I said, no, I really want to know what you want. Because when dad died, he was very specific, but like times have changed. And here we are 20 years later. What do you want? And once she started thinking about it and sharing with me, then we were like laughing about it and connecting. And now I know exactly what my mom wants. I know what my aunt wants. I know what I want. I know what my husband wants. And now there's no guessing. There's no sort of like, one day this is going to happen and everything's going to crumble. Yes, your life is going to change and you are never going to be the same. But if you can connect with people around that uncomfortable thing that's going to happen to every single one of us and know what that person wants and know how they want to be treated during those times, it kind of takes it down a notch. It doesn't fix anything, but it just softens the edges of the chaos that could happen. And if you're lucky enough to not have someone taken quickly and tragically out of your life, and you're lucky enough to be able to really walk someone home, I would just encourage you to just lean into the uncomfortable, because on the other side of that is like the possibility for really, really deep, intimate connection. So however that shows up, try to have those conversations. Try to ask people what they want, what they need, how they see it, because it's going to happen to all of us, which is so surreal. So that would be my advice. I know that's a little long-winded, but I hope it made sense.
No, walk
That's
someone home.
beautiful.
I'm going to take that with me. That's incredibly beautiful.
Yeah. Nikki, this was so amazing to have you with us. And
you
we are so excited for all of your success. We cannot wait to see what you do next. Thank you so much for being on She What? You were such an amazing, beautiful guest, and good luck to you. And Molly is with us today. Just thank you for everything, all your beautiful words, and continued success to you.
I am so grateful for this time together, and I appreciate you both so much. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Nikki. We love you.
Love you.